Well, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at what I would actually call a train set. You know, everything gets called train sets by people outside the hobby, but this one truly is a train set of sorts. It's the Rapido HO scale Rohr Turbotrain, and this is Amtrak Phase 3 late with DCC and sound. And I say it's a train set because as we open this up, you're going to see it's in a set of 5 different components. Ooh, Amtrak poster, sweet. You got your manual exploded parts diagram. But as you can see inside here, we have 5 different components to this Turbotrain set, and they ran in this configuration with a front and back end, which were turbo coaches and clubs, and there was a cafe usually in the middle. So with that said, we'll get this unboxed and see what you get a little further, starting next. Alright, so looking at some components here, there are several of them, including some connecting pieces in between each coach or cab, a magnetic wand that helps with activating the lights. Lights are track powered, more connecting pieces, and it looks like some plumbing. There is a piece that would go in front of the coupler on the front, and more connection pieces, plus a long shank coupler, it looks like there, and more of the same here for probably the other end. Now we'll just unbox one of these, where the unboxing portion of the video is going to be half an hour long. As you can see, there's some foam wedged in the ends here to help stabilize the pieces. Then you have your typical plastic sleeve and blister packaging surrounded by foam. Here's one end of the train. It's got some weight to it for sure, but we'll take a closer look at the details on the 360 view. But that is the unboxing, and probably the unboxing for every single car is just like that, so no need to rinse and repeat. Alright, up close and personal with the one end of the Turboliner here. And there's several different things we can point out. Lots of stuff I don't know, as usual. But I do know they're supposed to have operating beacons, so you can see those up top. Windshield wipers, cab windows, there's the headlight and ditch lights there. I showed you a part earlier. It's a little plating part right there that can be put here to give it a more streamlined appearance. But right now the coupler is installed on these out of the box, so you can always add that piece in, that plating piece. You can see the horn peeking up behind the beacons there, along with a single ice skate antenna. Along the side, there's an interior detail as well, obviously a little hard to see on this, but cab detail, interior detail, Rapido is well known for that. You can see the little attached piece there is separated I believe that's kind of red. I'm colorblind actually, but I think that's a red or Amtrak red added on piece to the truck. I think that may help generate power or something. You guys might be able to explain that one to me down in the comments. Turbo power is written on the side. The red, white, and blue stripe is nice. And you can see the interior detail back here, along with that red, touch of red on the truck detail again. Looks like a little cab, a roof vent there on the back. As I spin this around, you can see receptacle connections. You can see the female connection to these male double-ended connections that we connect all of the cars together with. It looks like a coupler cut bar there to the left. You see Turbo Club written on one end and Turbo Power written on the other. And you can really start to see these are the vent configurations on the side. I guess these change depending on the type. As I lay it on its side here, you can see what Rapido is really well known for, which is the underbody detail. So pretty cool there as well. And something that's just totally extra that Rapido does is the slotted brake rotors. It looks like is in there too, or if that's something else, it's represented and not needed because you don't need that on the trucks. But that's under there as well, so pretty cool. I think that's brake rotors, I don't know. No, I've seen that on their other stuff. But yeah, lots of components and parts down here. Etch metal grill. Really, really nice. On the turbo coach, the other end here, I believe it's just almost exact with the exception of the road number, 156 versus 157. I'm not seeing any differences. You know, there's a couple things I didn't mention, like the grab irons for crew entry to the cab door there. There's really quite a bit I didn't mention, but I believe this is the same as the other one, so I don't want to spend too much time. But there you have the other end of this configuration. Okay, now to the center part of the train. You've got two turbo coaches. Again, probably pretty similar. There is a taper towards the end of each car. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see it taper in towards the diaphragm. And there's a quick look at the underbody of one. So we'll go over this turbo coach here. As I mentioned, full details on the inside. I can show you a little better when we activate the lighting. And there is a door for passenger entry on both sides, both ends of the car. The diaphragm, which we already mentioned, double doors through the diaphragm going from coach to coach or car to car. So we'll just roll around to the other side. And there's another door for entry into the car. You can see the separation in the window, I believe where the luggage rack would be. So nice details, even this little vent here positioned under the window for air conditioning, I believe. You can see the ducts and stuff under here. See if we can zoom in so you can see some of that's molded and some of that is separately applied. Detail on the underside. Okay, now we have the Turbo Cafe. Basically, this center section that has no windows is where all the cooking goes on, or the food prep I should say. And then you have a lot of the same detail I already talked about, the roof vents and the red, white, and blue striping, the diaphragms on the end. If I flip it over on its side here, you can see more of the same level of detail. Slightly different configuration, I'm sure, because Rapido never does cookie cutter. Yep, so you can see that there. It's going to be a different configuration, probably prototypically correct. Okay, we talked about getting these connected. There is a little receiver box. Just snap that in, and you're going to snap that to the other car. And you'll do that with all 5, and then everything will be connected and close coupled. Now when you're on the track and everything is lined up and you're not on a curve, it naturally guides itself right into itself. So you're good to go there. And you can couple pretty easily. Alright, so this is equipped with ESU. So I'm going to hit F8 for a startup. We're focused in on the forward, front, head-end power, whatever you want to call it down here. So there you hear the turbo fire up, warning bell, a warning beep in this case. Got headlight check. I'll show you some lighting functions a little later. Let's check the bell. Horn. Now right now we've got both the units on each end making sounds, so you can always program that separately. Right now everything's on 3. Flange squeals F3, which you probably have to get moving to hear. F4 is the head and power turbine. I think that's just firing up the other turbine on the other end on F4. F5 is Doppler horn. F6 strobe lights. You can just barely see them blinking. Again, I'll show you some more features of that in the dark. F7 dims the headlights. F8 is startup, shutdown. F9 class lights, which I can show you those in the dark as well. F10's independent brake. F11 is door close. Door open. Just kind of hear a little clink. F12's red emergency light. Which is mounted in between the strobes. F13 manually changes ends. F14 is Grand Central Terminal mode. And Grand Central Terminal mode, basically New York City had banned smoke producing trains in 1908, and all trains into Grand Central Terminal since then have had 3 rail shoes, including the Turboliner, to run on clean electricity. So you'll hear the train set change from screaming turbines to humming electric traction when you press F14. So we'll do that. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to hit it again. It'll return to the turbines. Or turbines. Pretty sure it's turbines. So with F15, the Turboliner's crew will stay in one end regardless of direction change, as if they were hustling back and forth from the yard to the station. The horn, bell, and lights will not change ends unless the crew does. Only pressing F13 will then change the crew end, thus changing the headlight, horn, bell, and head and power turbine ends. So then we skip to F19, which is short air let off. 20 is air compressor. '21 spitter valve. And there's just so many functions. It goes all the way. See, listed is actually 21. It might be air dryer too, because there's a different area that says the 21 is air dryer. So that's just going through all the functions. Let's dim some lights and take a look at the lighting. Okay, we've turned out the lights here. We're going to move this forward so you can see. You see these strobes already. And you can see the interior lights. The class lights are up top on each corner of the windshield. And there's just a few other light functions I'll go over real quick here. Obviously the magnetic wand turns on and off all the lights in the coaches or the coach areas. But see, F9 is the class lights, so you'll see those dim out. F12, let's see if that will function. I really can't tell. That's actually operating on the other end. I'll show you that in a moment. And then of course the headlight, F0. So those are the functioning lights of this set. On this end you can see the rear marker lights, and you can see the red emergency light that I activated with F12. I'll hit that again just to stop that, so you can see that is independently controlled. Here's a good view of the interior. Really nice detail. You can even see the little paper backings or cloth backings they put on each seat for your headrest. And moving on down, more of the same level of detail in each coach and diner, or the cafe car there in the middle. A lot of NMRA testing is not really required on this. You know, the weight, coupler height, since it's all a set of sorts. So we're going to go ahead and just do the speed test at slow speeds and fast speeds, since this is a high-speed train. So this is one speed step here. This is set to HO, even though it's blinking down towards kilometers per hour. It is miles per hour. Okay, we're at one speed step. It is lurchy, but it hasn't been broken in. So 1.2 scale miles an hour for slow speed. Let's go ahead and increase until we do get smoothed out here, so I can tell you what speed step that is. Some people use configuration variables to go ahead and change that to where speed step 1 is its slowest smooth speed. We're at 5 right now. Starting to smooth out pretty well at 5, 6, 7, 8. So basically there's two different school of thoughts from manufacturers. Some of them just find their own smoothest speed setting and make that speed step 1. And then you're starting out the gate at like 5 or 6 scale miles an hour. Others want to get as close to 1 scale mile an hour as possible or slow as possible, and sometimes that compromises jerkiness, especially if it hasn't been broken in. So that is why we have configuration variables to be able to change that to whatever we need. So, pretty smooth, especially at 4, 5, and 6 speed steps. It's completely smoothed out. So now let's get a fast speed test here. I'll go ahead and back this up and get it set up. Giving it plenty of time to spool up here, and here we go. 120 scale miles an hour. Well, that's going to wrap up this review of the Turboliner. Pretty sweet. It tracks well. I've got some imperfect areas of track, and it runs very, very smoothly, especially past speed step 5. Great sound, great features, all the lighting features and interior lighting features. It's just really, really neat. And I hope if you're interested in this, if you're an Amtrak modeler, you check them out because they're still available. Sometimes these days everything sells out right away, but I've still seen some of these in stock. So be sure to check it out if you're interested. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the channel. We will leave you with a slow and a fast run by. Take care.
Many of the products you see in this video are available at trainworld.com. Since 1968, this family-owned business has been serving the needs of the modeling community with 2 New York brick-and-mortar store locations in Brooklyn and Long Island, plus their vast array of online items. Shop 24/7 at trainworld.com.